Hey guys, it's Daryl
And Aaron
on Travel with D&E. So we are ready to talk about day 3 of our NCL Gem 11-day Panama Canal Cruise. As we give it a daily update on the first couple days, and we have the rest of the cruise that we want to update. Found out the little startup video for day 3. It's can't find it, so we had to kind of do this from home, and we'll cover the very beginning of day 3, and then we'll go back to the normal format.
Yep. The day started kind of haywire. I set my alarm and I must have accidentally turned it off. So the alarm clock did not go off. So when I did wake up to check that last time, I saw what time it was, and we had no time to eat breakfast that morning.
Yeah, so we took off real quick to the Stardust Theater, which is where everybody assembles before the excursion. And in the theater, they have somebody who's got the mic, and they basically call out the excursions by group. And so the excursion that we had for this morning on day 3 was highlights, Hell, and the Fathoms Distillery. All right, so they called out our group, our excursion name, and we immediately headed towards the deck 4. And that's where you get off onto the tender.
Yep. And it was nice. It was actually a ferry.
Yeah, it was like a 2-story ferry.
Mm-hmm.
And we loaded so directly off of deck 4, and they have a gangway and directly onto that ferry.
So Grand Cayman is a tender port. So if you have an excursion or you just want to go tour right there in the port, everybody has to take a tender.
Yeah, there's no options. Now, if you don't have an excursion, you get to actually go a little bit earlier. But as far as the excursions, they actually kind of call those out and schedule them. So the groups go kind of at one time. And so we arrived at the port and offloaded there. And as you kind of walk out into the port, they have some different tents and such set up that, and then they have signs that show what the different excursion names are. So we kind of went wandering around and found our excursion and waited there for a little bit.
They had several people standing around. They were very helpful. If you didn't see what area or if you had a few questions, there were several people standing around to help you out. Very friendly.
Yeah, so we, after waiting 10 or 15 minutes or so, Carlos, our tour guide, he walked up and we kind of assembled us together and we followed him out. And kind of like ducklings following a mother goose. So we followed him out towards the line of buses there and boarded up and headed out for our excursion.
Yeah. He was very friendly. He introduced himself, and along the way to our first stop, he was definitely giving us a bunch of information about general things about Cayman Islands, the Caymanians.
Yeah, and one thing he talked about is where the port and where the buses are is right in Georgetown, which is kind of the main town. Yeah. On the island. So he talked a little bit about some of those attractions there, and then as we headed on.
Yep. So as we were traveling along, we got to our first stop, which we did not exit the bus at the time.
He just kind of pulled over on the side just to show us.
Mm-hmm. And so told us they had a female governor. And we kind of had the gates and were able to see
the governor's residence.
Right, her residence, and got to see the cars and all that. And so she was very friendly. Mm-hmm. So we learned a lot about the female governor and about what all she does on the island.
And not too much further along, we made another little temporary stop. We pulled over, and they had a Caymanian homestead house. Mm-hmm. That was kind of set up there, and old house. And one little thing that just stood out from that was the sand all in the yard. And that was one thing Carlos said is, if you have sand in somebody's yard, that just means they're a traditional Caymanian. They were born on the island, and because you really don't have a bunch of man-made sand on the island. It's a very rocky structure, and you just don't really have an excess amount of sand anywhere.
Yep.
So that's just one of the telltale signs.
Yep. So 2 quick stops. Like I said, we didn't get off the bus for either one of them, but it was nice to know the history behind the 2 stops. So then we headed out, and didn't take too long to get to our next stop, which we did get out and visit, which actually was Hell.
Yeah, which is crazy. So yeah, the next stop on the excursion was the area called Hell.
Yep. And everything was hell. The street, the gas station. I mean, it was just like a whole little area called Hell with a special attraction.
All right, so we'll go ahead and pick it up from there from the video we had recorded on the ship.
So after we left the homestead, we went to Hell.
Yeah, so there's a location on the island, and it's basically called Hell. So this is the first real portion of the excursion that we were going on. The old homestead was kind of a bonus. So you go to this place that's kind of on the west end of the island, and you basically pull up, and it's obviously a tourist attraction. But you go, there's a couple of buildings you go behind that, and you see this really blackened limestone that's jagged, just kind of jagging up in the air, kind of the size of I guess it was half a soccer field is what they kind of described it as. It was just freaky looking, right? So it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's got this jagged black rock, something like you would think from Mars or from Hell, right?
Hell might look like.
Yeah. So, and they have a kind of like a little a walkway, wooden walkway you can walk out amongst there. There's a number of birds that we observed that live actually in that area, and so that was kind of pretty cool too.
Yep. And so the whole area, so
Guess what?
that is around it, there's a post office, there's schools, there's gas stations.
Oh yeah, so the whole it's called a neighborhood. That
street
portion
is
of the
named Hell.
yeah, I mean, so everything is Hell, the Hell gas station, the Hell school, Hell, all that kind of stuff. So it's everybody kind of jumped on that name and making it. Again, now understand Grand Cayman Island, their biggest business is tourism, and so everybody in this area has kind of adopted the Hell name and created all these businesses and streets and so forth.
Yep.
And so talking about the jagged limestone, the blackened limestone, and some portions of it's kind of white on the top. That's basically all created from. And they say it's created from acid rain. I wouldn't think there's that much business or industrial stuff in that area to really be acid rain. Nevertheless, that's what they say it's caused from to some extent. And then it's caused by consumption rock by this carbonate living organisms. Who knows?
Who knows? And he did say some area that was in a lot of sunlight, and then they had some areas that were shaded by trees, and the area that was out in the sun was darker.
Yeah, the coloration changes, I guess.
Yeah, and he said it's just like our skin. The more out in the sun, the more it absorbs and it just gets deeper in color.
Yeah, they estimate it to be 10 to 15 million years old.
Yeah,
That's
right
pretty
on.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole general area right there by the actual jagged rocks, that whole area is considered to be Hell. But they kind of took advantage of that cool name and the tourism around that, and did that around the Hell stuff. Look, if you see, it's kind of rocking back and forth. We're on the boat, and it's kind of moving right now, so all good.
So this excursion was on a Sunday, and a lot of the buildings and tourist places were closed because it was Sunday, and so the post office was closed. But we did get our postcard. We were not able to mail it and let everybody know that we had gone to Hell, but we survived. But that's okay. We at least got our.
Yeah, and if you actually, if you can actually during, I guess, open hours, you can send that postcard. It'll actually be postmarked from Hell, Cayman Islands.
We did bring our passports, and we were able to get our passport stamped.
They will stamp your passport that shows you've been to Hell.
Yes, and because the post office was closed, the gentleman who runs the post office was not there, and he actually wears a devil costume, and you can take a picture with him. So we didn't get the picture with the devil.
Yeah, that'll become a theme. So pretty much anywhere you go, if you have excursions on a Sunday. Generally, it depends what part of the world you're in, but sometimes some of the places are not going to be open, or if they are open, they're not going to be fully open, and we'll kind of go through that as we go through the Tortuga, rum cakes, and that kind of thing. So,
and of course, we had to pick up a t-shirt.
Yes, sir. Gotta spend that money. Souvenirs.
And it does give the locals it helps them out. So,
and that is important. That's what we kind of like to do. Even if it's even if it's from a tourism standpoint, anything we can do to help out the local people in their communities, and just kind of be good for the world.
Yeah. So we got back into the bus and we headed over to Tortuga Rum Cake
Factory, I think they call it.
Factory tour.
Yeah, so we went over to this place, wasn't too far away. And you walk in, man, you can just smell right away. You just smell good smells, right? Think about a rum cake. Mm-hmm. And so basically what you do is you go in, they kind of bring you toward the back. There's the manufacturing areas. You got the big, huge mixers, the ovens. I think it was, what do you call it, a rotary oven or something like that. But you got all this equipment over there, right? Unfortunately, there's big old windows so you can see in. Unfortunately, like we said, it was a Sunday, so they don't make rum cakes on Sunday. So we didn't get to see them actually doing it. If it was during the week, you'd actually see them working in there. So that would have been pretty cool.
It was nice, but she talked us through it. I do have a KitchenAid big mixer.
It was a little bit bigger.
Far,
100 times bigger.
It was 1,000 times bigger. And then she showed the massive pot that they make the rum syrup to pour over the rum cakes. She explained how they have this miniature small cakes and the large cakes. She told you exactly how many would fit in the oven, and she walked you all through the process. And then they had all the beautiful Tortuga boxes in different colors with all the different flavors. So,
and I'm talking like 40 maybe different flavors at least.
Yeah. And the history was cool too. How it started. The husband was a pilot and the wife was a stewardess, and on her own time she found an old
sixth generation recipe
and started it, and everybody loved it, and somebody suggested she go commercial with it, and then there they are.
If I'm not mistaken, when you mentioned the big pot for the rum, I think they said it was like 2%.
Yes.
So it's 2% alcohol, I believe. I think that was just kind of an interesting point that they made.
Yep. And then so after the tour and walking us all through, of course, we got to taste some rum at the end and a few flavors of the rum cake.
Yeah, and it was absolutely great, both the cakes and the rum. And they had just all kinds of varieties of rum flavors, and had a sample or two of those, and had a pretty much good time at the Tortuga Rum Cake Factory. All right, so next up, the third part of the excursion was?
The Grand Cayman Spirits Company.
Yep. All right, so what you had to do on the tour was, they have a big, have a room and have all these tables set up and some chairs, not many. And everybody just kind of comes in, and there was another tour bus that got there at the same time. And everybody kind of comes in this room. And then, what was her name? Athena? She was our kind of tour guide. There was another guy that was helping her. And basically they went through and gave us different samples of different rums.
So she was very informative about it. So as she was going through the rums, she had several recipes she suggested. So the rum that had the molasses in it, she said if you barbecue, it's great. You marinate or swab your meat as you're cooking. And when it came to the blueberry rum, she said it's great over pancakes and waffles. And so she was cute. She kept us going. She had us laughing, and we tasted a good 12.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Close enough to that to count.
Yep.
And it was all good.
And it was very good. And so once that was done, we went to the back, where they produced the rum and the whole step-by-step process. She explained to us and showed us all of the equipment they use.
Yeah, so they got the whole distillation process back there, and how they go through and manufacture the rum. And actually gave us a sample. They talked about the head spirits, the middle spirits, and the lower spirits, I think it was. But the head spirits, I'm trying to remember. One of them was basically moonshine, like almost straight alcohol. And she gave us she had a little dropper. You don't get much of that, right? She just gave us a little drop on her hand. You could taste it, and it was kind of fun.
Yep. And so the main rum that they do have is called 7 Fathoms. And why do they call it 7 Fathoms?
Yeah, so it's like 42 foot below, which is 7 fathoms, 42 feet, a little bit more than 42 feet. So they take their cask or oak barrels, right, filled with their rum, and they put it down in the ocean, 7 fathoms. So they have a secret area so nobody can come and steal a barrel of rum, but they actually put those down there for the, whatever time period that they do to age their rum. And the currents, just kind of like we're rocking back and forth a little bit right now, the cask will rock back and forth, and that helps bring out the oak, characteristics into the rum. So it helps it age and helps it the flavor overall.
And that's what they researched it, and back during the pirate times when those big ships in the olden days came and the rums were so flavorful, they figured they'd try it out, and it's a winner. So we came away with that with a 7 fathom shot glass, and I don't know if you can tell how big this puppy is, but I don't think I'd want to take a shot this big from it. And want a bumper sticker. Fun times.
Yeah, so that was pretty much all of the tour. Those 3 main sites, and we hit the old Homestead. And as we came back a little different way, we came back through Georgetown, the city there where the port is. And so we basically got back, delivered back at the port, and we still had a couple hours. I think that was almost noon or something like that. And we had to be back on the boat by 4, so we decided to go and explore a little bit. And we had to stop, actually do a little shopping too, and get a hat for Aaron and a swimsuit for me. I forgot my swimsuit. And so we kind of walked around and looked at a few things.
As we came back to the port on the bus, we passed by an area that had statues and some interesting buildings. So when we got off the bus, we headed that way. And it was called Georgetown Heroes Court.
From the creation of the Cayman Islands, right, and the government. And I call it a square, but they call it a court. Nevertheless, just kind of visualize that though, the Georgetown Heroes Court. And a couple more buildings we looked at.
The old Parliament government building.
Yeah, and they said that was built, but it's no longer being used as it's just not big enough. And then there was what was the other one? The old Peace Memorial, and that was a women's suffrage plaque on it, and they were actually having some kind of celebration or looked like a church or some kind of deal going on. So we didn't go in, obviously. It would have been kind of cool to check that out, but they were having a function in there.
There was the 1913 library.
Yeah, so library built in 1913 for the Caymans to get some good books.
And an old fort.
Yeah, and the old fort there, and not a lot there. There's a couple of walls, pieces of the walls that are left, and we took some pictures there and some little video, and as you see right here.
All right, and then we reboarded our tender, and we headed back to the Gem, our ship.
Yep, fun. All right, so once we got back, we were starving. Remember, because we got up late, we didn't eat breakfast. I did have those beef and chicken pâtés. Nevertheless, I was still hungry. And so first when we got back, and you're going to hear this reference pretty often, but the Garden Cafe, which is the buffet. Well, and again, the food is just absolutely excellent. Every time we've gone, there's new types of dishes. Again, you got Chinese cuisine, you got American or U.S. cuisine. Indian, you got just a variety of food there. You got hot dogs and hamburgers and any of that kind of stuff, grilled stuff.
There's a pasta station.
Yeah, there's Italian or pasta station.
There's a Italian station, a soup station, a fruit station, a meat and cheese station.
Whatever you want.
It's and every day it's different. So we're not eating the same food every day. Every day it changes, and you can go back and eat as much as you want or as little as you want.
And it's pretty much available throughout the day. There are time periods between, what is it, like 10 and 11 or something like that. They shut down and prepare for lunch.
Well, yeah, so they have breakfast and then they shut down, I think, at 10:30. Then they'll reopen up, I'm not sure what time, for lunch, and they'll shut down and then get ready for dinner.
Right. So, and we have eaten at some of the other complimentary restaurants. The Orchid Garden, which is Asian fusion kind of food, and that was pretty good.
O'Sheehan's, which is Irish.
And just regular old
pub, yep.
Regular old pub food kind of thing. So that was good. It's just the Garden Cafe, the buffet is excellent food, and it's immediate, right? You don't have to. It's not formal. You go and just go through the line, get your food, and go sit, eat, and it's just a real nice experience, especially if you don't have a whole lot of time. And so anyhow, we did that once we got back from the tender from Grand Cayman.
Okay, speaking of food, we've had our fair share of food. So after leaving the Garden Cafe, we decided to look around. There's a jogging track. So we decided to do that, and we actually walked a mile around.
Yeah, a little more than a mile.
Yeah. And one of the areas around the jogging track is a basketball court.
Yeah, and they do have two areas where you can hit golf balls in a net, but they also have a basketball court that has a net completely enclosed. So I guess your basketball don't go over the into the water. Nevertheless, went and shot a little ball. Used some muscles, hadn't used in a little while, and had a good time doing that. Along with that 1 mile plus 1 mile walk that we did. That's the bad side of the Garden Cafe. You can, if you eat a little bit too much, we needed to go ahead and get a little exercise in and get a little bit of that bloat down. So
yeah. So while we're out, we decided to grab a drink, and we heard a really good band. So we went down to our Poolside, and the name of the band was Upgrade. And let me tell you, this guy had a great voice.
Yeah. So they played basically for the most part all 80s music.
But all genres.
But I mean, man, these people are really good. This group is really good, and we're gonna actually go see them tonight at 7.
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah. So they were that good. Very good. That was again. That's a reminder of the NCL cruise. This cruise on the Gem. They have some incredible talent here as well. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about another show or two we went to later on in the day.
So if you watched us yesterday, you saw that I got a free bracelet from Trade Blends. Well, each day they come out with a new charm. So I hadn't gotten my charm yet. So the charm was a wheel. So like the captain's wheel. I'm sure this boat is electronic these days, but in the olden days they drove them with a wheel.
I think they still have
They still have them.
Yeah.
And of course, for a little bit more than just the one charm they had.
Might as well get the rest of them.
So a couple of ship or cruise type charms. So I was able to get some charms. And of course, if you collect 8 by the end of the cruise, you get a free ship charm. So why not?
Yeah, why not? All right, so after we picked that up, we went to the Atrium. Again, that's a nice little cool place. You've heard us talk about that. Just a nice place with some nice comfortable chairs. You can go sit around, and there's usually some kind of function going on, music, whatever it may be. And in this case, we basically sat, there's chairs all around. So a couple came and sat down kind of by us and just had a good time meeting this couple. They were from Savannah, Georgia. Very interesting people. He had had a career with the State Department for the U.S. and basically moved around the world and that kind of thing. So we just had a blast talking about different things and telling lies and stories and giving us some tips on countries and all that kind of stuff. So it was good.
That was very nice. So some of the countries or some of the areas we want to travel in the future, they had already been and lived, didn't just visit. So it was super nice talking with them and getting some information from them.
Yep. After we spent a little while with them talking, it was time to head to the Stardust Theater at 7. And there was a great comedy show going on, or about to go on, and that was Scotty Goff.
Yes, and we knew not to sit in the front row, so we did not sit in the front row. And,
even though I wanted to.
And of course, 2 of the guys that were sitting in the front row happened to be part of his participants, or his guinea pig, or It was.
And there was more than just those two. There were a couple in the next row too. So.
Yes, so it was quite entertaining. It was funny. And it passed the time fast and was something else to do.
Yeah, so he was really good. We sure enjoyed his talent and had a good time there.
Yep. And then after that, it was already 8 o'clock, and we headed over to the Spinnaker Lounge for a very interesting newlywed, not so newlywed game. So they basically asked who was married the longest, who'd been married at least 40, 50 years. So they found a couple in that area, and then they wanted to know who had been together
the most recent.
The most recent. And they found that couple. The interesting thing was they said, who else? We need one more couple, and if you're interested, come up. And I was surprised at the amount of couples that went up there.
Yeah, there really was.
And they had to prove their love with a kiss.
With a kiss, yes.
And so we got to vote by clapping and applause who we thought showed their love the best.
Some did well, but there was this young couple. Where are they from?
From Canada.
From Canada? No, from Canada, and they
went above and beyond.
Went above and beyond. He basically picked her up and had her in his arms and put her up against the pole and column and basically kissed her. So.
And they won.
They won by far.
It was neat. So that's why it's the newlywed, not so newlywed thing. The guys left. No, the girls left first. The guys answered questions. The girls came back. Then vice versa. And actually, the Canadian couple won, and that was quite funny. The contestants got embarrassed. They, it was a fun show.
Well, I think it was. So that finally finished up, and of course it was time to go ahead and get a bite before going to bed. So where did we go? The Garden Cafe. Anytime, anywhere. Great food. When you want it. So we actually went by there and didn't pile it on too much. We just want to get something last minute to eat there, and then be able to head to the room and retire.
And that's the thing. It was already 9 o'clock by this time. We wanted something quick and easy. We didn't want to have to order from a menu, wait for it to come. And they had already changed from lunch to dinner by that time, so we knew to have new choices.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Again, we knew we were going to have new choices. You didn't have to eat the same thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it worked out pretty good. Then we, like I said, after we had a little bit of bite to eat, then we headed back to the room. And so what's on deck tomorrow?
So tomorrow is a at-sea day.
Okay, and so we're heading from Grand Cayman to Cartagena, Colombia. So once we get there after the sea day, then I think it's pretty early excursion. We're going to go do an excursion in Cartagena, going to see the old fort and the walled city. Is that correct?
Yep.
Anything else about that?
No, I'm just looking forward to it. I've been doing some research on it, so excited to actually see it in person.
Yeah, we haven't ever been to Colombia before, so that'd be another nice thing just to be able to go and visit and see a new city, new culture. Yep. All right, so this wraps up day 3. We're heading to Colombia. Tomorrow, day 4, will be an at-sea day. And there's always things to do again during an at-sea day. They actually throw some more stuff in just to make sure there's plenty of variety and things to do, to have fun. Absolutely. While you're at sea. And so that's what we're going to be doing. Thanks for watching. And as always, we will see you in the next video.